Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pev Productions Talk Show. I am your host, Pev Gamer. You can follow me on all of my social medias at Pev Gamer. And today we have a very special episode for you guys with a very special guest. We have one of Twitch's top growing creators ever here. This is like record breaking stuff here for me. You guys know her. And if you don't, you'll love her over on twitch.tv/Tiny Milk Buns. Tiny, how are you?
I'm doing great, Pev. Thank you.
Of course, of course. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to talk
Awesome.
about what we're going to be discussing today.
I know this is going to be so much fun. I can't
I
wait.
know. I'm so excited.
So, Tiny, you are huge right now in the creator space in terms of things like horror video games, survival games, even competitive multiplayers like D&D, and of course, I know you've gotten huge into Subnautica and even some good indie games like Slay the Spire. So, I actually want to kick off with that, right? Let's talk about it. Number one, correct me if I'm wrong. You've given Subnautica like the highest acclaim of any survival horror game that's been out in recent memory. Would you say that's fair?
Yes, I would actually claim that out of my whole streaming career, that's been about almost 3 years now, I would say that Subnautica was probably my top playthrough that I've ever done on stream. I never stream for 8 hours on a daily basis. So when I play games, not even with Resident Evil, which if you guys don't know me, that's what I'm kind of really known for. I'm known for playing a lot of Resident Evil, doing some crazy challenge runs, and Subnautica was the first one where almost all of my streams that I did of Subnautica were about 8, 9 hours long because I just could not stop playing.
That's amazing. That's so freaking cool. And I love watching your content as well. What's really nice about Tiny, for those again who do not know, she does almost all of her content live. So if there's stuff that's happening, that's off the fly. She's just that good when it comes to things. And when she gets stuck on something, it's getting done. It's never like me, who in some videos have had to cut out my many attempts at things. But we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that. So that makes a lot of sense. And considering I know you're like a big Resident Evil fan, I know that you kind of got your start in challenge runs of classic Resident Evil 4 and have moved on to other Resident Evil games, including Village and the remakes to 2 and 3. So, outside of that, I know you've played other horror games, and I know that you
Yeah.
probably would be the biggest voice, at least in my community, on the subject. So, how do you feel about Subnautica and the departure of Unknown Worlds founders Charlie Cleveland and Max Megerel? I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the last name, and the departure of the CEO Ted Gill.
So the funny thing is that when I first shared the trailer, I was unaware of this. I actually found out from a friend that that was happening. And after watching the trailer again, my concerns kind of went up where I don't know if I actually want to buy this game at full price anymore, especially because it's been worked on for years. And now there's a concern that it's being released as an early access and it's not officially completed, which also sparked concern within the discords um of just like the outcome of what Subnautica 2 has in store for us. Noticeable things within the design is that I'll be a little honest, it looks a little bit lackluster. I think it's amazing that the idea of Subnautica being multiplayer is fascinating.
Agreed.
But when Subnautica had its legacy file, which unfortunately had to be removed because of security risks, there was already a mod to do multiplayer Subnautica, and it was phenomenal.
Right.
Rave things about it. So I'm really curious to see with these new people in charge what's in store for us. Are people going to be spending full price on a game that's just going to immediately break? Is it going to be worth it? Is it going to be as great as people think it is? I don't know. But after hearing that information, I have extreme doubts on how this is going to be coming out.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. We've seen this unfortunately in the last, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so, maybe a little bit less than that. That video games are being released completely unfinished. You know, they're asking for higher and higher price tags with less and less content. I remember back in the days, like if you wanted something, you unlocked it in the game, and DLC was kind of like the chips and soda of your full sandwich deal. Now it almost feels
Right.
here's the bread, and if you want the meat, cheese, toppings, and your sides and the drink, you're going to pay for a battle pass, you're going to pay for DLC, you're going to pay for a season pass. And if you want to mod it and make it your own, oh, sorry, we have an entire paywall that blocks you from these mods because they're unsupported. Here's our supported mods, which will cost you another $70 to get everything. And
Right. And there's like that high chance of it possibly breaking the entire game. Not to go a little off tangent, but another game that I used to stream every once in a while was called Risk of Rain 2. And they had a very similar situation with one of their DLCs. I want to say it was called Survivors of the Void,
mm,
where a new company released this DLC. It had tremendous amount of bugs. There was a very unique bug where if you were playing it on Xbox and you connected your controller, it deleted all of your data.
wow.
I don't know how that could happen, but people are thinking like, okay, I'm spending this money to get what I asked for. And then when you get it, and to allude to like, the bread and butter, it's almost like you're being handed like a stale, moldy piece of bread, and they're like, here you go, enjoy it. And then it takes them months, sometimes years, to repair it. When who wants that? Nobody. I know I don't.
I
And
don't
to go
either.
back to Subnautica, that's what my fear is that because it's being released early access after all of these years of it supposedly being worked on, it's going to be a mess.
I agree. Because at what point do you take, hey, these original indie developers made so much money that they fully go corporate with it? They go into essentially double A and triple A title budgets, make these games, and then still say, oh, we're the small indie company. We have to put this in early access. We have to do this, but we're going to charge it like a full finished triple A title. I just think that's not reasonable anymore. Like you can't say, "Oh, I'm an indie developer. I'm going to charge you AAA price and put the game in early access so that you guys can do half of our jobs in playtesting." I just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like when it comes to pricing,
Mhm.
video games have very much increased their pricing a
Right?
lot. Like, for example, Resident Evil Requiem coming out. I thought it was going to be $60. It turns out it's actually 70.
Correct.
So when that game releases, I would expect it to be fully polished, little to no bugs, a proper story, and the fundamentals of it works flawlessly for what it's trying to portray. If Subnautica 2 ends up being more than $20, I would probably not waste my time with it. I usually do not buy early access games if they're over $20. Like, for example, Hightail. Hightail was released for $20. The people who were working on it spent many years on it, but its IP was purchased from Riot, who clearly, if you can tell, did nothing with it. So I understand on that front. They couldn't do anything with it because they just got that IP back a few years ago. So playing that game for what it was cost was worth its time. Yes, a lot of things are not finished in that game at all.
Sure.
I want to say that me and my partner, we finished Hightail in about, I want to say 6 hours. And that's us exploring, looking around, building stuff, making little homes and whatnot. But they kind of had like all they had to offer was the same boss in like 4 different locations. And that's what they had to give us, which I'm excited to see what this game is capable of producing. because they seem to have a level of care that a lot of these companies just do not have anymore for some reason.
Correct. Fully agree with you. I'm fully on board with you on that. We know what's so funny too. When I think of early access games, again, I don't mean to bring it back to the same point, but indie developers is what I think of. I think of games that were developed like Phasmophobia. That is a already a cult classic. So many people have bought it, and
Oh
it's,
yeah.
I believe, just exited early access in recent memory. I think about a year ago, maybe less than
I want
that.
to say about a year ago, and I've been playing since it first released. I think I got it for
Same.
like $15, and it was probably one of the best purchases to see it go from being the little whiteboard on the screen with the little lockers from Asylum becoming Sunny Meadows and having different versions of Sunny Meadows, the campgrounds, the new maps, them even trying to repolish their current maps that they have. Which another thing is that a lot of developers don't do that. They don't focus on what they have and polish that first.
Well, actually, they do. They do go back and polish it when it's a game like No Man's Sky. That's probably the
Whoa,
worst example.
whoa.
Oh, oh. No Man's Sky is one of those great examples of why you should never release a video game in early access when you have a AAA budget. You just should not. That game was revised as the worst space exploration game ever. And it took them a year and a half to get back to top ratings. And even then, I'm pretty sure they're still at a deficit. But it shouldn't
Yeah,
take.
they had to remove sales. They had to remove their
Yeah,
game from the shelves because of how poorly done it was. Because I think
Cyberpunk
they had a data
2077.
issue too.
They did. You are correct. Cyberpunk 2077 was released on last gen consoles and had a ass load of bugs. And we're talking the developers of The Witcher. Like that's insane to me. That's unheard of. But I don't want to stray too far away from obviously horror video games and what we've been talking about. So Subnautica 2 has already had a dev log released. I believe it came out a couple days ago, maybe we're by the time this is posted about a week ago. The dev log is out. I figured you and I can kind of take a look at it. They're talking about the multiplayer aspect, which again, if you've played the first Subnautica game and you've kind of dabbled in mods, they already had this available. So let's kind of review that. Let's see what that looks like in practice. So I'm going to share my screen with you and the audience, and we can just kind of either critique this or say it's the best thing ever together. What do you say?
I wish I could say it's the best thing ever.
Uh, don't know if the audio is coming through.
It's not, but that's okay.
All right,
But
that's
just
good. You
seeing
can
like
hear it.
the visuals of what's there is
Like I understand they're
I
talking about
don't
the
know.
engine being rebuilt, but
Oh my, what is okay?
yeah, visually speaking, like I'm sorry for anybody listening on audio. I'm actually going to mute the devs. But to see the gameplay they're showing us, yes, it's early access. Why does it look like the models and the characters are worse than the first game?
She's not even like kicking her legs when
Oh,
she's
right,
like
right.
swimming.
You know what this looks like to me? This
Oh,
looks like very early access Portal.
yeah, like it's so crazy that to go a little off topic, in
Yeah,
case you guys don't know, I do not care for graphics. I'm okay with it. One of my most favorite games is Faith, the Unholy Trinity. It's an 8-bit game, but it's meant to be not the best graphics. But
correct.
this game in particular, it looks like it's what's the joke that I usually say? It looks like it's not fully rendered.
Nobody's rendered
Like
this.
it looks like it's still like it's base colors and it's just what do people call it now? What do they call co-op games? Friend slop? It
Do they
looks like
actually?
yeah, so, like, when Peak came out and then, like, a few like, the uprise of, like, co-op games, they started calling them friend slop because it's like, "Okay, here's a game that you can play with your friends, be happy with it." Like,
Sure,
I don't like, it's Peak has better graphics. Like, and the
it
thing is, I'm
does.
saying that is because looking at this gameplay, which yes, it's early release. I get it. But why do the graphics of the first Subnautica look so much better than this?
I
Why
agree.
is that? Like, when it comes to situations like that, it's like, okay, you put a really high bar for the very first Subnautica. I've never been so crazy about a game before, and I'm horrified of the open ocean, the darkness of it all. It's terrifying because honestly, Subnautica, it's not entirely a horror game, but the
Sure.
whole phobia of it, that fear of the unknown, that's terrifying. And that's what scares me because it's like, we don't know what's in the ocean. We
We
don't
have
know
no
what's
idea.
lurking there. And then
Exactly.
you see like Ghost Leviathan, the Reaper Leviathan, the Sea Dragon Leviathan. They're huge. They're terrifying. But it seems like they're focusing and really milking on, guys, it's multiplayer. Whoa. And it's like,
Whoa.
okay, cool. Show the other things you have for us to offer. Like, I don't, cool, it's multiplayer. What else do you have? Like, that's not,
And like,
like,
look at that.
that
The
looks
monster.
great.
So I was gonna say that
That
monster
looks
look
great,
half-assed, but
but thing is, it still looks like it needs a little bit of love.
I agree. I
Like,
agree.
the idea of it looks cool,
It
but
does. It's
it's
a
in the
great
trailer.
concept.
But it's in the trailer. Seeing it, I feel like that opinion's gonna completely change when I see it in game. I feel like I'm gonna go to your opinion and be like, this looks half-assed. In the trailer,
Yeah,
it looks awesome. It looks awesome in the trailer. I won't deny that.
sure.
I love me some big underwater monsters. They're great. But at the same time, it's like when a trailer focuses so much on multiplayer, I have a fear that they're really lacking on like the actual entirety of the game because recently, to go back to the indie games that we were discussing, one of my favorites, I don't usually stream it, is called Slay the Spire. They actually just released their trailer a few days ago for Slay the Spire 2. The early access is going to be released on March 5th, but their trailer didn't focus on, it's 4-person co-op, you guys. Oh my god, it's co-op. It's co-op. Did we mention it's going to be co-op? Because they already know that the modders for Slay the Spire already have a multiplayer mod for the game. They were
Correct.
just like, hey, why don't we just add it into Slay the Spire 2? But thing is, its whole focus isn't just because it's multiplayer. They're adding 2 new characters. They're rewriting the whole like layout of the game where this certain decisions you make actually will fluctuate your path to who you're going to defeat in the end game.
Right.
So they were focusing on that and showing that off because that's brand new from what the first Slay the Spire offered. It first Slay the Spire was just you go from A to B, from B to C. You need to get to certain, you have to beat all the characters to the end level, and then you get these keys and you defeat the spire.
Okay, makes
But they
sense.
like they focused on like the new things that you're going to be seeing. They showed off new cards, new play styles, the new animations that they had. They had a lot more to offer in that case. I feel like this trailer offered completely nothing, if I'm being honest.
You're
It
not
just looked like
wrong.
a lot of like, here, damn, take it. Like, God. And it's like, but
So,
when you're waiting for a game after so many years, why would it be upsetting for us to be wanting more?
you know what I fear? I fear this is going to take the Fallout 76 route. Now, I am a diehard fan of Fallout. I'm also a huge fan of survival games. Love them. 7 Days to Die, Miss Survival. I'm even trying to think of more realistic survivalist games. Like, I guess you would consider Kingdom Come somewhat of a survivalist game.
It would still be, yeah.
Yeah, I would think so. There's certain mechanics you have to do to keep yourself alive. 76 for me became this whole thing where, well, what if I want to play the game alone? If I want to play 76 on its own, I don't want to interact with people, I don't want to have to work with people. Oh, you can do that. It was promised you could play this game by yourself, but the game progression is 10 times more difficult by yourself, especially considering you always have to be online. And that is my fear with Subnautica, that it's going to be like, oh, it's a multiplayer game. It's huge focus on multiplayer. You can play the game single player if you want to, like the first game, but there's going to be no difficulty scale. The difficulty scale is expecting you to have 4 friends to play with, or
4
three
friends
other
to play
friends to
it.
play with.
Mm.
I Am I wrong for thinking maybe the second game doesn't need multiplayer?
It should be, how can I explain it? Multiplayer should be an addition to what the game already has. It
I agree.
shouldn't be its main focus. Like, for example, for Devour, it's a 4-person co-op game. If you guys don't know what Devour is, it is simply a 4-person game where you have to collect certain items and finish a ritual before Azazel takes you over. Each map is something different. Each map has a different like
Monster or
line of things
possession.
you have to do,
Right.
has a different monster, but thing is you can play the game single player. I'm only saying that because I have done it myself. I have beaten 3 maps on that game by myself. It's possible. They balanced it out where you can do these maps by yourself. So it was more of just like, hey, there is multiplayer, but you don't have to do multiplayer. It should
Right.
be an option. It shouldn't be something you have to do. Same with Risk of Rain 2. You can play with people, but honestly, for the most part, it's usually played as a single player game. It's
Sure.
very rare that people sometimes do multiplayer. So I'm kind of concerned for that on multiplayer being so emphasized in that trailer and just in the overall production that they've announced it for, that it's like, oh my God, it's multiplayer. So now it's going to be designed where it is multiplayer, where gathering items is like there's double the amount that you need, but it's considered that you're supposed to do it with more people, which
Right.
sometimes I don't want to play games with more people, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I just want it to be me, myself, and I, and the game that I'm playing.
I agree.
So there is an underlying fear that, is this game really going to be manageable and balanced out like the first one was, where playing a multiplayer mod on the first Subnautica was not a problem and actually worked insanely well? But I don't know.
So that's completely fair. Obviously, the game is not out yet. We do not know what they're going to do. This is just all speculation, kind of fear
Yeah, maybe
about
I'm
what
being
the
a little
game.
judgmental. I don't know. I'm usually not this judgmental with games, but the first Subnautica left such an amazing impression on me that I can't help but be excited for the second one. I won't deny it. I am. I really am. I
Sure.
love the idea of playing with my friends, playing Subnautica, especially the ones that influenced me to try it, play with them, see what we can do. But, not all my friends are going to be free to play, so I would want
Right.
to play by myself. Am I going to want to play on Subnautica too, or am I just going to rather fall into the first Subnautica and just play that one instead?
Well, it's funny. I think that leads to, or this is going to lead to the overarching point of this entire video is as more and more horror games get super popular and more sequels and spin-offs come off of these games, the less and less I think us as a community have faith in these developers to make a good video game. Now, I bring up Dead Island. Dead Island was probably the perfect zombie survival horror game that could be played by yourself completely. You could beat the whole story by yourself. You don't need anybody else. But it had an option for up to 4-player co-op. Brilliant idea. Again, it never really affects anything if you play with more people. The game was critically acclaimed. It got a sequel. It was called Requiem. Requiem did okay. And then it took 9 years for us to get Dead Island 2. It switched developers completely. Like the original developers were kind of gone. They were kind of cast to the side here. They ran out of money, whatever the case may be. These other developers came out. The game was delayed. How many more years? We finally get Dead Island 2, and Dead Island came and went. Dying Light is the exception to that rule. Same developers, same everything. Dying Light had a rough start and has become the more popular zombie game. Well, Dead Island, because of the second game, not Requiem, Dead Island 2. Yeah, it completely fell off. It went into the land of obscure games.
And I feel like that's like a lot of these sequels are doing. It's like they assume like we need to push out all these new things, all these new mechanics. They're not going to get like enough of like they think our attention span is of a fish. And it's like no, just keep it as
a Subnautica reference.
Add unintentionally. I guess you could say specifically of a peeper, which if you guys don't know what that fish looks like, it's literally a little tiny fish with the really big eyes.
You mean the Guardians from Minecraft? What?
And it's like, it's so many of these sequels think like we have to add all these new things, all these different mechanics, all these new styles, because that's what they want. They need something new. And it's like, we don't want something new. We want something that makes the first game more lovable, but also brings a new kind of love to the sequels, which I believe Resident Evil did that very well. I won't deny it though. As someone who's played Resident Evil for, God, I don't want to call myself out, but we'll just say for over a decade.
Sure.
I love the sequels, but there are an exception with some of the things they have released. Like, for example, Resident Evil 6. It is very well renowned for being the worst Resident Evil of the popular sides. We don't talk about A-Team all that much. She's kind of left in the corner.
Well, of the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 era, that was Resident Evil 4 HD, Resident Evil 5, and Resident Evil 6. And then obviously you have, Revelations 2.
Yeah, and then we got like Outbreak. Oh gosh.
Umbrella Corps, which was horrible.
Umbrella Corps Raccoon City Operation, where they tried to dabble into co-op games. And if you guys didn't know, Resident Evil is very well known for failing miserably with making co-op games. They just never worked out. Pretty much all the servers for those games are done. They
died very quickly.
Instantly died. And because it was very much of, I did it once, I did it all, It just, it had no love to it.
Capcom has made the mistake in actually recent memory. So, it was Resident Evil 3 Remake launched with a game that was multiplayer. God,
you're going to talk about that. What is it? What was it? Mastermind or something like that? It
was something weird like that. Resistance. Yes. It was a free
people and then a mastermind. Oh,
yes. Oh. And Wesker was like one of the playable masterminds, and it very much was like in the era of multiplayer / dungeon master recreations of horror games. Like Evil Dead did the same mechanic. Oh, it was so bad.
It
So
was
bad.
so bad. It was so unwell balanced. I think people said that if you played as Nemesis, you can't lose. And
Yeah,
that was like the
really.
thing is that it's like, why how is it not well balanced? It's like they just like were like, "Oh, here's Resident Evil 3," which I'm going to drop this right now. Resident Evil 3 remake was awful. It lost so much content. So much
Yes,
content was
it did.
removed. I've if you guys know, it usually takes about 20 hours to beat a single Resident Evil remake. Sometimes some of the older ones it's a little less time just because, you know, they couldn't add too much to it for
Sure.
graphics reasons. Resident Evil 3 remake on my first try, me exploring, me getting lost, me dying took me under 6 hours to beat. If a Resident Evil game takes me 6 hours to beat, it was a bad game.
Pretty bad.
I'm gonna say it straight up. It was a
S-
bad game.
I'm going to tell you this. Resident Evil 3 is my favorite Resident Evil game of all time. I am such a Nemesis stan. I freaking love Nemesis. That's my favorite
No,
villain
Nemesis
of the
is
series.
awesome.
So cool, right? The remake to 3, yeah, missed a lot of content from the original. I extended my gameplay by purposely mastering the dodge with Jill against level 1 Nemesis. I extended my gameplay by fucking around with the animations. I wish I was joking with you. Like I was I wasn't I shouldn't say that. I wasn't disappointed by the game because anything to have Resident Evil 3 on a modern console, I'm here for it. So at that time, it was great. But compared to Resident Evil 2 remake, Resident Evil 4's remake, even the Resident Evil 7 and 8, which hot take, not a huge fan of. Not a
Yeah,
big fan
no,
of 7 and 8.
I agree because with Resident Evil 7, which this will kind of allude to what else we're going to be talking about, but for Resident Evil 7, don't get me wrong, I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the new characters, the more idea of kind of going into this virus that kind of alludes back to Ouroboros, you know, like that's really cool. Like there's this new
Sure.
molded virus that was developed. But there was a specific segment where these new horror franchises I notice are doing it.
Mm.
Where so there's the ending scene where you finish Jack off. He's like done, he's his full boss form, all these eyeballs, the classic Resident Evil boss of like a big mutation. He takes up the whole screen. And then you decide, okay, are you gonna give the antidote to Zoe or to Mia? And of course you're gonna give it to your damn wife. Why would you give it to Zoe? Let's be real here.
Accurate.
And the thing is, that's the canon ending is that
Sure.
you give the antidote to Mia. There's a whole DLC on what happens with Zoe, which that DLC was phenomenal, by the way. I enjoyed it a
Very
lot.
good.
Not the Chris one. Ugh.
Well, Not a Hero was
Anyway,
free. That was my only justification
I
for playing it.
understand why it was free. I understand why it was free. But thing is, when you go on the boat, Ethan gets taken, and then you play as Mia. There's this whole ship segment where it's like flashbacks of Mia being on the ship. But thing is, you already know all this information. You already know Mia lied about the babysitting job and that it was to watch Evelyn, who had this virus in her and was able to control it. And you knew that that's what Mia was doing. Why did we have to have this entire segment that just reiterated that? There was no
Yeah.
reason for it. It felt like it was filler. And a lot of franchises, I feel like, are doing that now, where it's like they don't have enough story. So they're like, huh, let's put in some filler and hope for the best. And it's like, okay, it would have been so cool if that content was just gone. And the idea of like, oh, hey, here's this house. Like, The Baker's family was really innocent people. They just wanted to help Evelyn, who got lost in the shipwreck, which we were all aware of already, that the
Right.
ship crashed, and that, they had this whole underground base built under their house, and they had no idea. Nobody knew. That was awesome. But
It
we
was.
didn't need that ship segment to just go from the house to being like, oh my God, there's this underground facility. Like, that brings back that classic Resident Evil, that Resident Evil 1, that Resident Evil 2 of like, oh my God, there's this mansion, there's this city.
Mhm.
And we were just pawns the whole time of how we adapted to this virus,
Mhm.
but they've been watching us the whole time.
Which
Leaving it at that is
mm,
so awesome. I always love that about Resident Evil, where it's like you're just a little innocent area up top, but at the bottom, there's these scientists. They're developing these monsters, and they unintentionally release it up into their little, petri dish,
right.
essentially. And it's like, if it was just from there to there, from A to C, remove B, it would have been a great game. And that final boss was so fucking boring too. Sorry for my language. But
No, you're fine.
it was so
Totally fine.
boring. It was such a boring boss. It's when a final boss is more of a cutscene and is crouching for most of it, and I can defeat it with my handgun, that's not a well thought out boss.
No.
That's like going to the Elden Beast and easily being able to defeat it with a club.
Well, to be fair, you are famous on Twitch for challenge runs of Resident Evil. Like, I've seen you beat Resident Evil 4 with solely
Okay, well,
a hand
yeah.
pistol. So I guess
Well, that's because I'm awesome.
there's some grace in that, right? Like a little bit.
Yeah,
But
there's
no,
a
I
little bit of
understand.
grace in that. The thing is, it's like when I'm doing that on my first playthrough, I
Pretty
shouldn't be
bad.
able to do that. Like,
Right.
I should be freaking out for my life. Like, oh my God, I'm out of ammo. Like, what am I supposed to do?
What
And
am I
like look
supposed to
around
do with
for
this?
ammunition. So it's like, I want to be able to do that in my second playthrough of the game, not my first playthrough. Like, if I went through my first playthrough knife only, that would have been terrible.
That would have been a
Which,
big L.
it was ridiculous. I did that with Village. My second playthrough of Resident Evil Village ever was my knife only run. But that was miserable. That was genuinely miserable. That it was not easy. It was horrible.
Resident Evil returning to its roots is great. And don't get me wrong, Resident Evil 7 and 8 are objectively very good games. I
I
just
hated it at first.
I still don't
I
really like them.
Yeah, no.
No.
I remembered I bought the game full price, played it on my PS4. I think I got right to the castle and then I stopped playing it. And the only
I'm
reason I continued was because a friend of mine gifted me the game and I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a chance."
well, I'm not even gonna lie to you, as you know, this might put a little bit more sauce to it, right? I beat Resident Evil 7 completely on its own on the PS4. Bought it I think on the first time it ever went on sale. So that Christmas season. Bought it, played it, loved it, right? Then the VR mode was released. I bought an entire VR just for it. Played it again, loved all of the mechanics, hated the story, hated it because it went. Yes, it's a huge callback and a love letter to the first game, but
It just felt random.
it did. It felt like, I can't even call it a soft reboot. It felt like a full blown reboot of Resident Evil that totally, excuse my language, like pussyfooted it around the canon events of the story, right?
Like, why
Until
were
the
there
end of the
so
game.
many different like people you had to deal with? Like, why? Like, don't get me wrong, they were all very cool.
Yeah,
I
sure.
loved the dollhouse. The fish area was whatever.
Yeah.
And I loved Heisenberg. Everyone knows I love my Heisenberg. He's But anyways,
And the Baker
fun
family
fact, you
was great.
guys,
Don't get me wrong.
Asterion is the voice of Heisenberg, if you didn't know that. From
Oh,
Baldur's
from
Gate
Baldur's
3.
Gate? Oh, I didn't
Yep.
know that. Huh.
It's funny because when you hear certain voice lines in cutscenes, his accent kind of comes out, and it's like, I know you. I know who you are,
Caught you.
piece of shit. But it's like it was cool. It was cool, but I wouldn't call it Resident Evil.
It
I wouldn't call it Resident Evil as a game on its own. Take the Resident Evil name out, it was a pretty cool game. I won't deny it.
sure.
It was a cool game. Would I go out of my way to play it again after my first two playthroughs? No. No, I wouldn't. But the
I was
only
only
reason I
reminded.
really enjoyed it was because of that final file you find as Chris when you get to Mia and you find out this whole time. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't played Village. I know it's been a few years since it came out. Major spoilers. You find out this whole time that Mother Miranda was actually teamed up with Spencer that whole time.
As
And
in the owner of the
he
Spencer
did,
Mansion, for those who don't.
as the owner of the Spencer Mansion, who was developing the T virus,
Right.
ended up abandoning Mother Miranda, who was simply just trying to find a cure for her daughter who died from the Spanish flu. Spencer wanted to overtake the world. So
Yep.
it was kind of cool to see, like, oh, so this was literally the origin story of how Resident Evil became, which was cool.
Which,
I won't deny it. I had like
oh,
a honeymoon phase of excitement from it. In all reality, it felt like it was just like a last minute, like, oh, let's try to tie it in.
yeah. When I think of the baseline to Resident Evil games, right? I think of, and this is not my take of corporations at all. Nobody try to turn this political. This is solely for game telling purposes. A company that is so greedy wanted to create bioweapons and instead it blows up in their faces. That's perfect Resident Evil storytelling to me. That's great. I
Yeah.
don't care about.
Yeah.
And when Albert Wesker gets his powers and is trying to dominate the world in this cartoonishly evil fashion,
I think
that's
it's fucking
great too.
hilarious. It's awesome.
It's so good. I don't care about the new characters you created for Resident Evil 7 to then have a full story that ends with, oh, he's only relevant because of his actions, getting us to figure out that all the events in the first game and on, the original everything, is tied to this story. It's like, no, at that point, you're telling a new story of Resident Evil. You want to tell me there's another new virus. Okay, I'll buy it. Cool. Do not tie it back to the original game. I'm sorry.
I would have loved it if it just stayed as like Mother Miranda wanted her hands on, let's just say, for example, the Ouroboros that developed into this new molded virus to save her daughter.
I'm cool
Leave
with
it at that.
Leave it
at that. There's no reason she needed to know who Spencer was. There was no reason that, like, or
here's a great tie-in.
Because Spencer was inspired by, like, as you can see throughout the game, after you defeat Lady Dimitrescu, you can see, like, oh, there's like the symbols of Umbrella throughout the game.
Correct.
And he was inspired by that. They didn't have to mention that.
No,
we could have just been like, oh my God, this is where we could have pieced that together. Let it be like a Star Wars movie where you don't, well, before Disney fucked it up. Sorry. If anybody likes the new Star Wars movies, I don't.
You can unsubscribe right now.
You can unsubscribe. You can unfollow me. Revoke your sub. You're banned from my server. No. But like,
There's that one Star Wars fan.
Right? It's like we don't need to be handed this like a little cookie with our little bib on that says, I'm stupid, please explain it to me. Like, we don't need that. We can figure that out on our own.
Agreed.
But like, don't get me wrong, I enjoy Resident Evil. I do, but just start a new story. Like, the whole point is that you got this virus. People are going to do crazy shit with it now.
Yeah.
What are they capable of? What can they do with it? It doesn't need to connect and fall back to, oh, Spencer was here the whole time. This is how we blah, blah, blah. We could figure that out with all the umbrella symbols that were everywhere and shoved into our faces. We can figure that out. We know. We are completely aware.
Can I be so honest with you? Their direction that they've taken with Requiem, whether Requiem ends up being good or bad, the fact that this is truly, truly in chronological memory that we are returning to Raccoon City to
I think
finish
that's stupid.
off. You think it's stupid? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be so honest with you. I think that is the greatest conclusion. If this is the end of like
Well, you
Leon
know what? If
Kennedy's
it's the
story,
last game, okay, yeah. You know what? Yeah. If it's the end of his story, then yeah. Like,
yeah.
I'm not saying
If
I
it's
want him
not,
to.
then
Don't
that's kind of
die.
dumb.
Don't die, Leon. Please don't die. But like, if they make a new Resident Evil game after it, I'm.
Well, I'm at this, right? Grace, the main character, right, for the horror side of the game, where Leon's the main
Which I
character, the
love that
action
they're
side.
bringing some characters from Outbreak into it, giving them some love
I
because
agree.
Outbreak takes place between the events of 2 and 3, if you guys didn't know, which a lot of people don't know.
This is
Because
true.
it's not,
This is true.
Outbreak is not one of their most popular games.
It's not, but this is a great way to you make these characters relevant again. That's what it comes down to.
Yes.
And there's great symbolism in finishing Leon's story, if that's what this is, in Raccoon City. I'm totally cool with that. Any other Resident Evil games to come after this, I need a conclusion to Chris Redfield's story that didn't involve Resident Evil 8. I don't that if that's the end of Chris's story, that was lazy writing. Through and through
Because I don't
wholesale.
understand. It's like, why is he a part of Umbrella now? I
That
thought his
still
whole
doesn't make
thing
sense to me.
was like, I thought his whole thing was that he didn't want to be a part. I don't know if it was like a Leon Resident Evil 4 situation where he was kind of like forced into it because of the experiences he had,
Sure.
which for Leon, it made sense in
Correct.
a way. But for Chris, it doesn't. And they never really go into like, why are you I forgot if he was a lieutenant or some sort, but like, why is he a part of Umbrella?
He's a decently
Like,
ranked member of Umbrella's security force.
yeah, like,
I want
so
to know
it
why.
sounds like he was there for a long time. Like after the events of Resident Evil 6, which happened, I want to say for Resident Evil 6, that happens in, oh gosh, when did Resident Evil 6 come out? Was it 2013?
I think Resident Evil 6 came out earlier than that.
2012. It came out 2012.
Oh, 2012.
So I want to say that after a while, they started making it to where when the game was released, that's the timeline that they're in. So Resident Evil 6 happens in 2012.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
And with Resident Evil 7 is 4 years after Resident Evil 6. Did he just jump into Umbrella after Resident Evil 6? Like,
And also,
why?
not for nothing,
Why?
if Chris Redfield was going to join Umbrella, why would he have not done it after Albert Wesker dies? Yes, Albert Wesker betrays Umbrella, betrays everybody at the end for his own self-interest. But if you're going to kill Umbrella's now new number one target, the guy who knows all of your fucking secrets, would you not want to say, hey, Chris, we have a common enemy now. Let's eliminate all this shit and get rid of all the zombies and stuff so that we can make a brighter future. Why would you not do that? And like that makes better storytelling, I think. But what do I know?
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know. It's just very random. And like the first impression of Chris from 7 was the worst. It was the worst. I'm
I mean,
like,
a free
who the hell
DLC
is
worse.
this ugly man? The DLC made it so worse. I'm gonna die on this hill. I'm mad that they killed off Lucas so easily.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it would have been so awesome to see him have. He kind of like he was on the verge of having his own Wesker moment of like, hey, this virus is kind of kind of fucking cool because
Ouroboros.
he was fucked up.
He was.
Lucas was fucked up. If you read the files in Resident Evil 7, which you don't have to understand the lore, which
No.
don't get me started with other franchises now these days with doing that. Oh my God. It's like you can see that Lucas was demented. He was messed up.
He was clearly disturbed.
And it's like Umbrella had this whole change in Resident Evil 7. They're blue now. That's it. They're blue now. They're still Umbrella, but they're blue.
Give me my red, damn it.
Yeah, give the red back. Yeah. But it's like, it's just maybe Umbrella changed to where they're like, hey, we have a common enemy, blah, 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 blah. And Chris was like, ooh, let me join you guys.
Yeah, but I need that story. I need to understand why that happened.
It would be nice to go, there should have been more files about that in Chris's segment in Village or something. There should have been like, maybe it should be a whole game. Maybe it shouldn't. Maybe if they do a remake of 5 and 6, they can perfect that plot, because the original plot of the Resident Evil games, they do have some plot holes in them. They do. And it's just, I don't know. It's just, you could, as much as they put new content, it still seems unfinished.
It does. You're 100% correct.
Don't get me wrong. I love Leon. I do. But what the fuck happened to Jill? What happened to Chris? What happened to Rebecca? What happened to the other star members? Leon wasn't even fucking stars. What happened to Claire?
Right.
After the whole incident of Code Veronica. She had the firsthand experience with dealing with the island and with the Ashford family, dealing with Alexia and like that whole virus situation. Like,
correct.
What happened to these people? Where have they gone?
Remind me, Tiny, isn't Rebecca dead chronologically? Isn't she murdered by Wesker?
I don't think so.
I don't remember if that was ever confirmed.
I don't think so. I don't think she died. It's because thing is, I don't know if the movies are canon.
Oh, the CGI movies?
Yeah, I don't know if the movies are canon. The only stars members that I know are dead is Brad and Joseph. Brad died from Jan in the first Resident Evil. Or when you're playing as Jill, he dies from Jan. If you're playing as Chris, he dies from the Mega Sharks. Joseph dies in the first cutscene. He gets mauled by Cerberus, which are the dogs. But Rebecca, technically,
W cutscene, by the way.
She's still alive.
Oh, she is? Okay.
But in the movies, for Resident Evil Vendetta, she actually creates a cure.
I remember that. I remember the movie, but
I don't think the movies are canon. I didn't not think 100% sure on that. I want to say they aren't.
I think you are correct. I don't believe they are canon, but I don't know why I thought Wesker had killed Rebecca. But either which way, I want to know what happens to these characters.
He slapped her.
Oh, did he? Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, in the first Resident Evil.
Yeah. Oh, in the first. Oh, no.
Yeah, in the first one. Pah! Smacks her.
Kind of based.
We kind of just like, we don't know what's going on with those people, but thank God we know what's going on with Leon, I guess.
But.
Which, hey, you guys can't make fun of me about that. Y'all know I'm a Leon lover.
Leon. I know. If anyone was going to talk shit, I'm glad it's you on it.
Yeah, it's me that should be talking shit about Leon. Miss Kennedy over here.
Exactly.
I wish.
So, obviously we're going to see what Resident Evil Requiem brings about. I would love to have you on the show at a different time to talk about Resident Evil lore and kind of the game is going to, that would be great.
Because then this would be lasting for 24 hours. That would be a 24-hour stream podcast.
Easily. One of the last big things I want to talk about is the multiplayer horror genre where it's required to. I know we kind of touched about games that have it as optional, but I want to get more into games like Dead by Daylight, stuff that you've made a name for yourself. And yeah, I would say you're actually a pretty predominant name in the non-professional Dead by Daylight community. You know, there are people that have never been in our channels, but I've heard them use your name before. So, what do you think of the obviously all the drama that happened with Pinhead's removal and the Hellraiser license being revoked? We had Michael Myers for over 9 years. And now he gets one last rework and he's gone from the game for new players. And the
And he's
newest,
awful.
yeah, his rework is awful. And the most recent collaboration with Stranger Things. I would love your thoughts on that. I'd like to think what you think of the game in its current state and how this is affecting other multiplayer horror games like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the soon to be released Gun Media Halloween game.
The Halloween game I'm really concerned about because I think the only successful licensed multiplayer game that was successful, I'm so sad I never got my hands on it or tried it, was Friday the 13th.
That's where I got
That's
a lot of my
one
streaming
I know
started.
that's successful.
Oh yeah.
Evil Dead failed. There was another one that came out that also failed, and I can't think of it. Well, I guess you could
Aliens?
say Texas Chainsaw Massacre failed,
Oh
unfortunately.
yeah, definitely.
But that was just because there were so many security issues that they just never figured out. It was never properly balanced as a game, which, don't get me wrong, DBD is not balanced. It's not. I'll be straight up. Getting into DBD as a new player is probably one of the most difficult things you can do. I was lucky to get in at the time I did, which was, it may not be a surprise, when Resident Evil DLC came out, the first one. That's when I got in. But that's when there was there was a good amount of perks there. But
yeah,
now it's like getting into DBD now is just, it's hard. It's not easy because if you really want to enjoy it as a new player, you have to play with people that you have comms with. You can't solo DBD on your own.
Well, you can. It's just as much fun as going down
it's
a
gonna
slide.
Be as fun as dying 30 seconds into your first match. That's the fun of playing DBD on your own as someone who's new into it. But that's, that's a whole other discussion. But
well, it's funny you bring that up. Like, so I got into Dead by Daylight when the first license collaboration happened. I got it when Michael Myers and Leatherface were released. I know they were released within a couple weeks of each other. Then Freddy Krueger was announced, and the Nightmare on Elm Street chapter was happening. So I've been into the game very close to I won't say day one, but I was close to day one.
Fairly
right?
close to when it started popping off, for sure.
Exactly.
Because if it wasn't for that Halloween collab, who knows where DBD would be at right now.
Dead by Daylight would have disappeared in the realm of obscurity when Friday the 13th came out. That game was easily much more popular up until obviously the lawsuit. In my opinion, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who would agree with me. But obviously Dead by Daylight reigns almost completely unchallenged. And I loved the game back in early day. I think the game really started to change right after the Silent Hill and Resident Evil collaborations. I think it kind of went downhill with certain first party characters, and
it did.
Yeah. When we figured out we could lose licenses for character, like when the Demogorgon was removed and then brought back because Netflix Stranger Things video games completely toppled over, that left a very sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah, because you can tell it was simply greed at the end of the day. And that's the same situation with Hellraiser as well. It's simply corporate greed. And then I wouldn't doubt it anytime soon that they're going to get that license back. I do not doubt it one bit. They're going to get that license back so fast once that game comes out. I'd give it maybe a month tops, if I'm being honest.
If I'm being honest with you, I think the only killer that will never make a return will be Hellraiser. I think Pinhead will never come back as a license because what I've seen from the PlayStation title of Hellraiser, the game looks quite insane. I'm not gonna lie. Like if they're planning to
Yeah.
make that into a trilogy, I would also never give up that license. Like that looks like that will make money. But Michael
Yeah,
Myers,
and
I think he'll be. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
he's gonna be gone. He's gonna come back. He's gonna come back. Once
Oh,
that
yeah.
game is released, he's coming back.
I hate to say it, I just don't have any faith in Sumo Studios or Gun Media right now. Like Texas Chainsaw was bad. They abused the license with Friday the 13th. Otherwise, Friday the 13th would still be making money right now. And
Yeah, it would probably be up there with DVD. I wouldn't deny it one bit.
I
The
agree.
amazing things I've heard about that game, I know it would be up there with it would probably be side by side.
Probably. I think it hits. Tell me if you agree with me. The way Alien Isolation revolutionized the idea of the AI controlled monster hunting you in a video game is what Friday the 13th did for multiplayer based horror.
Yeah,
Through and through, right?
100%.
Okay, good.
But yeah, it's like I'm glad that Stranger Things is back. One of my amazing friends who has assisted me with learning how to loop in DVD, helped me just understand the game overall to the best of his abilities. I made a joke with him saying that Stranger Things is never coming back. But then once the new season came out, I'm like, oh, brother. I'm like, it's coming back. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Netflix is going to realize, oh my God, we just made the dumbest decision ever. Here, take it. And then they came out with not Vecna. Well, technically, yes, Vecna.
Yes.
But they came out with the first. They came out with Dustin and Eleven as playable characters. And it had, its Resident Evil moment, essentially, where it's like, you guys want more because you like it? Well, here you go. You're going to get more. And playing against the first is such a blast. I have such a great time. I've never really stay on my toes with certain killers in DBD. There's a handful that I do, but the first I have a really good time going against. He is such a fun character. He is very unique in the sense that they incorporated the upside down into it a little bit more instead of it just being portals. It like affects everything of like the game itself. I thought that was phenomenal. And then just to add like the characters we all know and love, they added Dustin, they added 11. You can get a cosmetic to be Robin, you could get a cosmetic to be Eddie, the ones that we love from the newer seasons. And I think that helps getting more people to play because they notice there's like the whole thing with Halloween. You see someone that is so iconic and that you love, how are you not going to want to try it, you know?
Completely
And
agree.
then it depends if you stick with it or not. And then for most people, some fall out, but then there's people like me where I fell out for about 2 years. And then I went back into it. I went so hard back into DVD, and I have such a great time with it when I'm playing with friends. Sometimes even when I play by myself, I still have a good time.
That's good. Now, I lied. I have one more thing I want to talk about, but I want to leave DBD on a high note. Again, and for people who have not met you and have not followed your channel yet. So you predominantly play as a survivor main. I've seen you loop killers
Yes, I hate
like
killer.
but now you play as killer every once in a while.
I do every once in a while. I'm trying to get to it a little bit more. And thing is, actually, I will leave DVD on a high note. A really fun way to get into killer is honestly playing the modifiers. I think it's really fun playing with the modifiers, especially Chaos Shuffle. Yes, you can get really bad perk setups. I know. I've been there. I've been someone who
What
had
did you hear
self-care
that?
and no mither. Unfortunately, I was one of those sad people who had
Oh,
that.
did you hear that? There's all the invocation spell. What? What? That's so
You play
wild.
Invo, you get banned. I don't care.
Invo
You're
and
banned.
deliverance? What? What a combo.
Oh my god. So bad. So bad. So bad. But I would say that to find a way to get into DVD as someone's new, I would say get into the modifiers because it's fun. It's a good time all around. Lights out, Chaos Shuffle, 2v8 is a very, very fun one. Um, what other modifiers are there? There's a little Oni, My Little Oni, but that was an April Fool's joke. But that's still like a funny one. And it's like once you get the hang of it, then go ahead and try watching it yourself. Yes, it's not fun to have to how to loop on YouTube, but thing is, those videos are really helpful. There's really awesome streamers out there where watching their videos honestly do help. And yes, you're not going to be winning and escaping every single time, but what game do you win every single time?
Exactly. It's not fun if you win every time.
No, I think honestly, as poorly as the game can be updated, have its switches, it's still a fun game that I go to all the time. I
I
will
agree.
never stop playing DVD. I know there is a clip of me out there saying I will never play it again. Ugh, the words bite my ass.
For the record, Tiny and I both made a pact that we would stop playing DVD around the update right before Vecna. And literally, like the next day, they announced 2v8 would add Pyramid Head and
Oh, I
Dracula.
installed that shit so fast.
I was playing it the next day with Cade, the guy named Cade, or Cade VO, Glorpto, whatever his name is now. We played it instantly. That was very short lived. And again, I want to thank you for being here. We're not leaving just yet. We have one more thing to talk about. But if I didn't say it already, guys, go follow Tiny, twitch.tv/tinymilkbun. Her link will be down in the description for sure. Tiny, you brought up a really good point. We're gonna end the show as we started the show with indie horror. Now, and I'm not talking Bendy and the Ink Machine, as we know they did not last the test of time. Sorry, Ubisoft, for closing Rooster Teeth, but that was one of the IPs that went. I actually don't know if they're making new games on that. I hope they do, but I know that fell in the land of obscurity. Now, we're talking about its slightly better cousin, Poppy's Playtime. Now, I have not played or seen anything of the newest episode, the last episode, the final chapter of the game. I have played all 4 of the release chapters. You've watched playthrough of the new chapters, and you brought up a point that took me a little bit to think about, but I think it's completely valid. You were talking about how mechanics in not only indie horror games, but modern horror games are introduced so quickly and then immediately forgotten about. So go into detail about that. What is something you've noticed in specifically Poppy's Playtime from the times you've watched the playthroughs, and where else have you noticed this?
So the people that I watched played, which you guys, I would be very surprised if you don't know these names when you hear them. I've seen Queso and Markiplier play. If you don't know them, they are very, very renowned for playing horror games that we know and love. They're renowned for playing itch.io games of single people making these phenomenal horror games, as short as they may be. But the thing that I noticed, and maybe my opinion might be a little biased because I haven't played these games myself. I simply watch people play them. And the same thing continues with FNAF as well, where there was a common theme where a new mechanic would be added, where, for example, you have 2 hands that you would use in Poppy Playtime. Very cool idea. I loved it. It's awesome. But then they would be like, here's a pressure hand. Here's a magnet hand.
The electric
Here's
hand.
the electric hand. And thing is, when they were introduced, it would usually guaranteed 99% of the time would be followed by a chase sequence.
Right.
And thing is, we get flustered when it's chase sequences because it's like, oh my god, there's like this big monster following me. Thing is, we just get introduced to the mechanic. We don't know how to use it well. So when you die the first 2-3 times, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. Let's try again. But then you keep dying.
Yeah.
And then it's taking almost about maybe 15-20 minutes to get through a section. And it loses that fear factor. It becomes more frustration. It becomes more of an annoyance. And then when you do complete it, that mechanic's gone. You don't
Yeah.
have to use it anymore. So it's like, to allude back to like Resident Evil 7 with the ship sequence, a lot of these things are starting to feel like it's just filler to keep it going.
Mhm.
And it's like, why do you need to keep adding stuff? You could have just left the mechanics that were given to the first, maybe second chapter. The electric hand could stay cool. Maybe one more mechanic could have stayed, and that's it. Because we know them already.
Correct.
And then you develop your story with the mechanics we already understand. But they didn't do that in the fifth chapter. They just kept adding new and new things. And then to unlock stuff, you would have to do these ridiculous puzzles that just make no sense. And like, don't get me wrong, it's like, it's fun to watch people like mess up on a puzzle, but when it's lasting about 30 minutes to an
There's a
hour
problem.
to do a puzzle, I'm going to turn off the stream. I'm going to
Yeah.
leave. It's going to make me not even want to continue the game. And that's where, like, for Resident Evil, a lot of their puzzles, it's not, you need like a single brain cell to do them. Like, you don't need to put so much effort into the puzzle. It's kind of just like, okay, let's do the puzzle, get out of here. Cool.
I actually kind of appreciate the Silent Hill games for separating the difficulty of puzzle versus gameplay. Like,
Yeah,
I do
exactly.
appreciate
It's
that.
nice that you can adjust the difficulty of the puzzles before you play the game. You can make them easy, you can make them normal, you can make them difficult. That's awesome. But when you're not given that option, and then there was a situation that really stuck out to me with Queso's stream where he was stuck on a puzzle for about, I want to say maybe 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, just to get a plushie. He had no idea it was optional. No clue.
That's kind of fucked.
And it's like, why does unlocking all these things need to like count for a good ending or something? Like, why do you have to do such tedious things just to get the ending that you want? Like, why does that matter? It
I
just seems like they're trying to waste so much time on that.
I agree. I remember certain games would give you super daunting tasks for a very obscure ending, one that was definitely not canon and one that was just kind of funny. Like, haha, you wasted all this time. Here's a scene of you getting fucking abducted by aliens. Like, that shit's funny. That shit is really
Yeah,
fun.
like
Like,
that's funny.
that's
You don't
funny.
have to do it to complete the game, like to, like it doesn't, it's not canon. It's just to be a joke,
Well, don't tell that to
but it's
modern games because
optional.
that's probably where the platinum trophy is hidden. Is that
Yeah,
obscure ending?
probably. And it's like, the other thing that Poppy Playtime, the newest chapter, did is that, why do I have to do these daunting tasks to find lore to understand the game?
No,
If
thank you.
I need to use outside sources to understand the lore of a game, I'm going to be honest, you fucked up. You fucked
Oh,
up your story. And it's like, that's kind of what happened with Poppy Playtime, is like, oh, you have to find these hidden tapes to understand the lore. But then there's tapes in like for Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, the VR game. There's tapes in, this is a little bit of an unknown indie game, but it's called Sally Face. You could find tapes in that game.
mhm.
It adds to the lore. It just makes
Sure.
it a little bit more in depth, but you still understand
I think
what's going on.
Crow's Country did very well at that as well, where there was lore hidden, but it was very much optional to
Yeah,
read.
and
You'd
it's
get
just,
the
it's
story.
kind of like it could be mind-blowing. It
Oh
can
yeah.
be.
Oh
Like,
my
don't
god,
get
yeah.
me wrong. That's like the things with Resident Evil. You don't have to read all the files to understand what's going on. They just add more detail.
To be
But thing
fair,
is, I would read all the files,
uh,
honestly, because
we know you
God, it
would.
makes it so exciting when you do read them.
Some games even reward you for that. Like I remember in now I didn't do this. I knew this because I had played the original, but when Until Dawn came out and it's been out, it's they made a remake, figured this out in the original, really happy they carried it over into the remake. But you actually get rewarded at certain points for reading the lore books. There's one
Mhm.
sequence where one of the characters is bitten by a Wendigo, and there's an option to kill this character because she might turn because she was bitten. If you read, if let's just say you didn't shoot her or you did shoot her and kill her, either which way, if you read the book that explains the Wendigo's mythology, you would find out that the bite does not actually turn the character. So either
Mhm.
you have just killed this character or you have gotten an additional piece of content where that character finds out the bite isn't real and had her life threatened and she beats the shit out of a different character. She slaps the ever loving shit out of the character who was going to kill her. Or there's an ending that is solely based on if you can find one of the sisters' diaries when she converts into a Wendigo. If you don't find that, a certain character dies. If you do find it, you get a secret ending and that character survives. Like it's insane. It's insane like when
Yeah.
games do that.
Because thing is, it's like for a game like Until Dawn compared to like Poppy Playtime, in Until Dawn, that's one of its mechanics. That's one of the
Literally.
beauties is that reading those files, reading that information, looking for that obscure stuff gives you more options. And that's the whole
Correct.
thing of Until Dawn is that your actions of what you find, what you do changes the ending of the story completely.
Oh
But
yeah.
that's its mechanic. That's its thing. Is that Poppy Playtime? It's not. It's scary monsters, toys that have become an amalgam of the prototype.
Right.
Early spoilers for Poppy Playtime, which, whatever. You find out you've kind of been helping the prototype this whole time by getting the toys
Yeah.
to their ultimate death. And thing is, people complained about the design for the prototype, which I kind of understand why people are complaining because I expected more of like a oh god,
A
what's that guy
menacing
from
monster.
FNAF? Ennard. I kind of expected
Oh
it to be
yeah.
like that, where it's like it's the insides of the animatronics
Yeah, but it's not.
is Ennard. He's this amalgam of the animatronics. That's what I thought the prototype was going to be. Prototype was just a jester with mechanical legs of a spider.
Yeah, there's a sequence in. So I thought Poppy Playtimes did a great job in certain horror aspects, right? Like
Oh no, they
with
did. They did.
they definitely did. But I agree with you. I thought the prototype was going to be something disgusting. I thought it was going to be like I don't know. So far, the most menacing creature in that game has been the cat, catnap, whatever
Yeah,
his name was.
Catnap was definitely the most menacing. And thing is, it's like people have this argument of like, oh, but it's a toy factory, and
Oh,
they're supposed to be cute. They're supposed to be this and that, and it's like
no,
you
they're not.
can make if you have you seen certain mechanical toys without their fluff? Have you
They're
seen like if you
insanely
see a
smooth.
picture of the Huggy Elmo toy without his fluff, it's fucking terrifying.
It's
It's an
awful.
endoskeleton. It's the
Yeah.
creepiest thing ever. So it doesn't need to be when people say they wanted it to be scary, they're not asking for another Springtrap. They're not asking
No,
for gore and blood and all this crazy stuff. They're asking for like, okay, he got all these toys. Let's tear the toys apart in our maniac brain we have as the prototype
mhm.
and let's just like stick them onto each other like we're mangle essentially like that is what people expected and that's what I kind of expected and like
That's what I
don't get me
expected.
wrong the prototype's design is cool but it's
Yeah.
not what I thought. I would have preferred an amalgam of all the toys that they captured. and
Those
being
little
as one.
toys, the little fluffs, the stuffies, when they went into, I forget the dog's name, the dog character's name, but when he was like nailed to the playroom and all the little toys went into his mouth and they essentially like embalmed him into their creation, I was like, that's fucking freaky. I wonder if like the prototype is going to be the thing that
Yeah,
like
and that's what I
creates those
thought. I
things.
thought it was gonna be like, oh, this prototype's consuming these toys that we just gave to him, and this is what he is. But
Yeah.
that's not what they gave us. They gave us a fucking jester with spider legs. And it's like, okay. And then another thing too is that when you come out with a trailer and you put so much emphasis on a character that only has like in gameplay maybe like 10 minutes of screen time, don't put that character in the trailer. Don't have that be the main focus because you just killed off that character and they had no like relevance to the plot. And that's the thing with Poppy Playtime with the last chapter is that it really had no continuation of the plot. It was just like, oh, you've been helping out the prototype. Cool, that's it.
Yeah, it was definitely a twist that was supposed to strike fear in you, but instead it was like,
It
so we just
didn't.
eliminated all of its competition, is what I'm hearing.
And supposedly there's going to be a chapter 6. I don't know about what, but there's going to be a chapter 6 and it's like a lot of games have done this. A game that I really loved called The Evil Within. It's a psychological horror for the first game. It's a story game. It's a
Great
story game,
game, the
whatever.
first one at least.
It's amazing. And then they came out with the second one. I was so excited for it. I was so hyped. It fell off so flat. It went from being a story game and it became an open world game. And I'm like, what is this? Why is this happening? And then they did this thing that Poppy Playtime did it. A lot of modern games did it. Five Nights at Freddy's did it too, where they start adding all of these new villains and they're like, there's this guy, there's this guy, there's this one too. And it's like, okay, just focus on one. Just
Like,
focus on one.
please.
There doesn't need to be a million. And it's like, for example, in The Evil Within 2, they added this priest who gets killed in the cutscene by the wife. And it's like,
Why were you
why
such
was he
a
even
heavy
there?
point of this? Exactly.
He was no importance to the plot. He was just like, oh, Sebastian, I know your fears. Here, experience the enemies from the first Evil Within that you dealt with. And it's like, that's so stupid.
I feel
Like,
bad for all those people that bought the second game without playing the first one.
yeah, it's like they got like the worst first impression of it. And it's like, because you find out it's like the whole it's been so long since I played Evil Within, but like the whole like machine of like going into like this other world and stuff, it was being controlled by the daughter the whole time. You find that out, which is cool. That's awesome. But I wish they would have just kept it with the first enemy, the first
I agree.
villain, which was the camera guy. I forgot his name. But man, he was such an awesome villain. I got so mad that you had to kill him like maybe 30 an hour into the game.
Time to kill this guy.
Yeah, and
The
it's like, why couldn't he just be the one? Why did there have to be more?
I'm gonna come off a little bit. I don't know. If you liked Outlast, for instance, Outlast I think did a very similar take. I don't think Outlast 2 is really considered open world, but the second Outlast game is horrible. Absolute
It's
dog
awful
shit. It's
because
so
they
bad.
did what Evil Within 2 did. They added different
Everything.
like antagonists and it's like why are we adding so much when it just needs one?
Yeah.
I never
I would
even
have
finished it.
preferred
I
it.
never even finished Outlast 2. That's how much I
It's so
hated it.
bad. It's
And
got jump
I
scares in it.
never do that. I never
No,
do
I'm the
that with
same
games.
way.
I never don't finish them. I finished Alan Wake on my own time.
Sure.
It was a little bit slower pace, but I still enjoyed it.
Sure.
Um but it's like they just assume that if they add a bunch of stuff, new stuff, that we're going to eat it up.
Yeah, and sometimes less is better. Like truly speaking, less is better in a lot of situations like this.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. And it's like
Totally agree.
there's no reason to add new mechanics that are only going to be used for like 5 minutes. There's no reason to add lore that you need to look so hard for to understand it unless you want to go out of your way to get that secret ending. Like during your first playthrough, you should just be able to like bask in the glory of it. But it's like with Poppy Playtime, you couldn't. You have to do all these crazy puzzles, and then there's a chase sequence, then there's another set of crazy puzzles, and then there's another chase sequence, and it's just chase after chase. And then it's like, okay, it's getting old. It was nice the first few times, but you can't just have your whole thing be chase sequences.
I mean, I guess you can, but don't be surprised when people like fall off. Like truly.
Yeah. And it's like, because I was reading through like some TikTok comments of people who like, where they would post like Markiplier's complaint that he had, and they're like, oh, it was just because he was hungry and he was irritated. That's why he didn't like it. And it's like,
Huh?
no, that's like the dumbest reason ever. It's like if someone doesn't like a game, it's okay. You can say
Oh.
your opinion about it. He literally played the
It,
game.
you know what, Tiny? You're so right. You're so right. I did a 3 hour stream that I condensed into one review copy of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And it must have been because I was hungry and upset that I didn't like
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
true.
must be.
True.
Yeah.
It sucked because
Do you,
you were
do you know
hungry.
that you actually don't like playing as Killer because you're always hungry when you play Killer and that you're
True.
tired?
It's
Yeah,
true.
it's true.
And that's
It's so
why it
true.
makes it the worst game ever. And that's why my opinion should be hated on social media, because Poppy Playtime was just such a phenomenal game.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what else was a really good game? The Evil Within 2. Dead Island 2.
It was so bad. It was just such a mess. And it's like, and it's
Uh,
like it's the
Tiny, you
newest
know what?
remakes.
You might just not like the new Star Wars movie because you're tired and hungry. Like, what?
True. Yeah,
What?
it's like people have the weirdest like it's like, can he just hate a game? Is that
Right.
okay? Can he
Right.
just not be happy with, and like people are like, well, he played all the FNAF games, and it's like dude
And
was sleeping like in the middle of his playthroughs essentially. When I watched him play Security Breach and watched him play Ruin, he was literally dozing off. I dozed off while watching it. Like that's how bored I was.
and
And
I would expect Markiplier
it's
is
like
like
of
the
course he was gonna
biggest,
play it.
of course. But
But like
Markiplier is
he's
also the biggest FNAF creator out there. And if he
yeah, so
doesn't
of
like it,
course he's gonna go out of his way to play it,
of
but he's
course.
also gonna go out of his way to shit talk it, which he did. And that's like the complaints that people were saying. They're like, oh, well, he played all the FNAF games and he wasn't complaining. And it's like, that's where you're wrong. He was complaining about them.
Right.
He was saying they're milking them so hard, but he's playing them because, well,
It's
that's
the
what he's kind of
content.
known for.
Right.
Yeah, it's the content. It's literally his job. His job is to produce this content, so he's playing it for the content.
Like
But
the
at the
fan
same
base could
time,
ask us.
it's like at the same time, just because he's doing it for the content, that doesn't mean he enjoys it, you know?
This is true. This is true. Our whole fan bases can ask us to play games. And I think we would be stupid not to do it if that's what people want to see. Like if people want to see me play a game like, I don't know, like 7 Days to Die pre Fun Pimps getting independence, okay, I'll play that. I'll find a mod to play that.
Yeah.
But there was a reason why 7 Days to Die died as fast as it did when Telltale's went out of business, like went out, you know?
Yeah. And that was like with me with Outlast too. It's like people asked me to play it. I feel really bad because I did get it as a gift and I was really excited to play it. I really did try to play it as much as I can. But after a
Sure.
while, I'm like, I'm sorry, but I can't finish it. I'm like, this
No, I
game
don't
is
blame you.
just, I'm having a bad time. And if I do streaming as a hobby, it's a fun pastime for me. So I want to
Sure.
make sure that when I'm streaming, I'm having a good time because people notice that. People notice when I'm getting bored. People notice when I'm falling asleep. Like literally when I was playing Subnautica the Red Plague and I was dozing off, people are like, Tiny, please just end stream, just go to bed. And I'm like, okay, fine. And it's like that's when I mentioned Outlast 2, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you guys, but I can't continue this game. This game is just it's so lackluster. It's so boring. The files are just really, really weird and uncomfortable. They don't enhance the plot. Half of the time, it was just them being so horny that they're killing people and some weird stuff with babies. I don't know. And then all of a sudden, this weird shadow man appears and like he looks like a motherfucking galaxy. And I'm just like, what's going on? Where's Jessica? I think that's who we were hearing voices of. I
Why am
I'm
I in
getting
a
so
school
lost.
hallway with a bunch of blood coming out of the walls? Like, what?
Yeah, like why does this have to do with the church where I'm trying to save my wife who's literally
That's
going
the
to
neat
give
thing.
birth to the fucking second death? Like why is this school place my concern? Why is this so important? Why does this matter?
That's a great question. Questions we don't have answers to.
Yeah,
But
apparently.
as good things go, this episode has to come to an end. So I want to start by saying thank you again, Tiny, for being here. This has been probably my favorite episode of this talk show. Cannot lie. Actually, it's the first time I've had a guest, so you should feel honored. This is a very good
I'm the
time.
first
You're
one.
the first one. Tiny, what are you currently working on? What can the people kind of expect from your content? And where's the best place to get in, your content, I guess, out of that's not Twitch?
Currently I am working on a silent merchant run for Resident Evil 4 remake. And I'm still messing around with DVD here and there, enjoying 2v8 before it ends, which it will be ending soon. And I'm also messing around with a well-renowned uh mod for Subnautica called the Red Plague. And if you guys want to see past VODs of some of those playthroughs, you can catch me on my YouTube channel, which is simply just Tiny Milk Bun as well. I post on Instagram and on TikTok some funny clips of my experiences I've dealt with on there, mostly jump scares. But yeah, if you guys want to join the Tiny Milk Club, please follow me on Twitch and I'll send that link right away and maybe we could play a few games together.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for being here, Tiny. Guys, thank you all for
Yay.
watching at home. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, Pev Productions, twitch.tv/Pev Productions. And make sure you check out Tiny's channel. Again, everything will be linked down in the description. Please stay tuned as our next episode of the Pev Productions pod will be coming out soon. Catch y'all later.